thought, but he was asked the question about Vele really quickly. All right, and this is a much longer cut. I just want to get out ahead of this. This is a much longer cut than we would normally play on a radio show, okay? It's 2 minutes and 25 seconds, but I felt that it was important to get the full scope of what he said in a situation that is, on the top of mind in Broncos country. I'll also warn you, because I heard it real quickly during the commercial break, they're doing construction over there. So you're going to hear the beep, beep. It's kind of annoying, but it just is what it is, okay? So this is Sean Payton, his expansive response when he was asked about the trade and how it went down, sending Devaughn Vele to the New Orleans Saints.
I asked Paul, my assistant, find out how many players I've traded or been involved in a trade with. And Devaughn was the 26th player. The interesting thing with him was 2 and then a third team all called. In other words, we weren't actively shopping at all. Teams in need of receivers obviously do a good enough job. They look at the depth of certain teams. So within like a 3-day period, George and I had gotten calls from 2 serious teams and a third, and all coincidentally on the same player. And look, George would know better the initial offer or what the compensation would be. And the next morning, he and I sat down and said, no, that, obviously we value this player. The following day, it picked up. It became more serious. And then we're having to look at the roster as a whole and trying to find the right and the best 53. But the thing different, and I looked over those trades, those other 25, and 90% of them were easy trades to make, meaning there wasn't the right fit for whatever reason. And then there's that 10% that are difficult. This was one of those 10% that, man, all the things that we look for, discipline, structure, smart, tough, talented, that's why this one was difficult. And certainly New Orleans was looking, just talking with Mickey, they felt they were missing a bigger receiver. They knew we had a number of big receivers. And so it kind of went in the beginning of the week is just discussion. And then 2 teams really came back more than serious about this trade. And there is a point at some point where you're looking at the roster, you're looking at your depth, and towards the end, it was something we felt was going to be best for the club. He was fantastic when we visited with him. He's gonna be a real good player for them. And so those are the tough ones. And really, I was only able to come up with like 2 that were like that. Darren Sproles was a real tough decision, and I later regretted it, And so, but most of the time, they're easier, but we wish them well.
All right. Wow.
That's a lot.
There is a lot there. 25 trades. This is 26 for Sean. And you can hear, and I will choose to believe him when he says, man, this was tough. It's one of the toughest trades of my career. And it's easy for someone like me to believe that because of how much I really like Devaughn Vele. But I think that's organic.
No, it definitely is organic. Listening to former players talk about Sean is going to shoot you straight. Whether you're going to make the team, whether you're not, what he wants from you, what he's looking for, what you're not doing right. He seems like a guy that is going to be real with you, and that's why a lot of players love him. I've been on teams where I got cut. I'll tell you, I got cut from Houston before going to Miami. And Nick Caserio sat me down and said, hey, look, man, the reason why we're cutting you is not because of your performance. It's because we are not good. I had a vision for you. It did not come true. I want to give you that opportunity to go somewhere else and hopefully flourish to help your career out. It's not here in Houston, and we're not going to bring you back next year. He was upfront and honest, and I could respect that. Now, you could go somewhere like Miami, where I finished with Miami. I didn't do well. I didn't have enough time to really get going. I sit down with the general manager, and he said, hey, we'll definitely be in contact with your agent to see about having you back. My agent calls, never answered the phone, never. So as a player, you want the truth, and that is it.
Right.
And usually the truth hurts.
Right.
And you move on, but you're able to heal from it. So when Sean sits there and says it was a hard, tough decision, it really was. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I still believe that Sean's vision is different with Pat Bryant and Vele than it was ever with, or Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin than it ever was with Vele. Because if Sean thought highly of Vele, he would have drafted him maybe in the 5th round.
Yeah. As he starts to go through the characteristics of the things that they value, tough, disciplined, smart, and he embodied those things, but at the end of the day, because, you mentioned that word vision, man, and we talk about it all the time. And it's so true with sports. It's just it doesn't even matter if it's the high school level. If your coach has a vision and you're in the vision, man, you really got to screw it up. You really got to screw it up to the point where someone like Troy Franklin a year ago has the most disappointing summer that I could ever watch someone go through. And he still got opportunities in games his rookie year. And even when he screwed some of those up, he continued to get opportunities.
The vision.
If you're in the vision, man. But if you're not in the vision, and I've said this for many, many, many years, if you are not in the vision, and this transcends sports too, you have to bend time and space to get into the vision of leadership in whatever space that you're talking about. And Vele nearly pulled it off. I mean, it was last year during the NFL season that Sean Payton was drawing parallels between Devaughn Vele and Marquise Colston. That happened.
So are you thinking that the reason why Sean moved on from Vele specifically was because of his injury?
I think that opened the door, because if he doesn't get hurt and he is actually taking a step forward summer over summer, there's no way you would cut that guy. Even if he was a carbon copy of who he was that last summer and didn't take a step forward, I don't think I say cut, trade. I don't think that you're moving on from him. But because you're not in the vision, and because you did suffer a setback physically, and you're technically on the field, but you're restricted, but you're out there.
Yeah.
Parlayed with the vision for Troy, who he begins to validate in year 2, and Pat Bryant, who he begins to validate in year 1, all these energies coming together allows you to move on from a really good football player.
And it comes down to what I always say. We're human beings. You like what you like. For Sean, it's you've proved me wrong, Vele. Yes, we should have drafted you higher. But, hey, guess what? The guy that I just drafted in the 3rd round, Pat Bryant, I believe in him a little bit more than I do you even now. Because he's what I'm looking for from whatever the case may be. The route running, the maturity, which both are mature. Whatever it is, it's I see Pat Bryant differently than I see you, Vele.
Right.
Now, I will say this. There were 3 suitors, correct?
Yeah, he said 2 to 3.
2 to 3.
And it sounded like 2 got real serious.
So you had 2 serious ones. My guessing, of course, the Saints. Obviously, the Saints, they were willing to give a 7th and a 4th. Who would the other serious suitor be?
Well, I think I know who one of them is.
All right.
For sure. It's a team that the Broncos have done business with repeatedly over the years, and it's a team that just traded for a wide receiver. You look at the news last night, and honestly, I forgot about this in real time when he said the 2 to 3 and Dante Gomez behind the glass. San Francisco traded for Sky Moore. You saw that.
I did.
And so if they are making a trade on the same day that Vele gets traded, and this is 2 organizations that have done business before, all right, I think San Francisco is one of those teams.
Bingo. And there's one more that I believe. I'm speculating. If it wasn't San Francisco, some people say, well, it's the Vikings. No. It was the Jets. Why would the Jets want to do business with the Broncos?
I know where you're going.
Who's the general manager over there with the Jets?
I believe it's George Payton's old assistant. Is it? I think Darren Muji.
Yep, correct. Darren Muji. And when you have these connections, you want to keep them. Darren Muji has been here for a very long time with the Denver Broncos. He got to see, literally got to see Vele in action. The Jets are looking for a bigger receiver to go at Wilson. So why not make that call?
And guess who's over there as well? Guess who's a starting wide receiver right now for the Jets? Josh Reynolds.
I didn't know Josh was over there.
Yes. Who was just here.
Yes.
Right? And so if you were part of the vision for that guy, and then now, okay, no, I already have a scouting report on a guy that checks this box, but it just speaks more to so much of this stuff is agent relationship based and that.
It is.
So yeah, I absolutely believe that could have been the case. And this is worth mentioning. When you start talking about a 7th round pick, you're talking about not only a depth piece, but you might be talking about the depth of the department, of the scouting department, okay? And maybe someone like Darren Muji, maybe Vele was his guy.
Yeah. No, there are scouts in that building, the head scout, who's going to have a handful of guys that he believes will get drafted, or they're on the cusp of getting drafted and undrafted free agents. And so they're like, hey, this is my time to shine. A scout needs a player to hit that they've been banging the table for when they go to these meetings and they're explaining why they should draft this player or why this player should be a part of the team even as an undrafted free agent. And when that player does hit, well, that's a point for him. And if he gets enough points, now it's like, hey, we look at you a little bit differently now as a scout.